everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on True Story FM. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm here with Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete Wright.
Oh, Nikki, what a fine day it is. We are in the perfect time of year. Nothing sucks about being outside right now. I've got no allergies. There's no smoke in the air. The temperature is perfect. I feel like we've got about 2 weeks before the rains come and everyone's miserable. And so I'm just living it up. Windows open, living it up. We have it is fall. Oh, God, I live for fall. We have a fantastic conversation on deck for today with a dear friend of the show. And he's back to talk about so many things, including his book. And now he's got a podcast. It's like he leaves and just goes crazy, creating all kinds of great stuff. And so I don't know if we'll even get it all in. We have so much to talk about. Before we get started, we'd love for you to get to know us a little bit better at TakeControlADHD.com. Listen to the show right there on the site. Sign up for our mailing list to get new episodes each week, and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Blue Sky and all the places at Take Control ADHD. The best way to connect, join us on the ADHD Discord community, a welcoming space full of people who, get it. You can hop into the general chat anytime at TakeControlADHD.com/Discord. And if this show has ever made a difference for you, has helped you feel seen or understood or just a little more capable, we would love your support. Patreon makes this listener-supported podcast possible. With just a few dollars a month, you help us keep growing, add new features, and invest more heavily in this very community. Visit patreon.com/TheADHD podcast to learn more and become a part of what makes this show thrive. Today, we are welcoming back one of our favorite voices in the ADHD community, Dr. Nachi Felt, clinical psychologist, professor at Columbia University, author of the forthcoming book, Clearheaded. Last time Dr. Felt joined us, he walked us through two powerful frameworks, the Cycle of Ambiguity and the Cycle of Agency, tools that helped us understand how our emotions, attention, and actions loop together to either trap us or propel us forward. This week, he's introducing the next evolution of this work, the Cycle of Accountability. What happens when ADHD isn't just about managing attention, but about reclaiming ownership of who we are and how we direct our lives. He's here to show us that accountability, when rooted in compassion and clarity, can be the bridge between intention and meaningful action. Nachi, welcome back to the show.
That was great. Wow. You guys put it better than I do.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Last time you were here, March 2024, we had our Patreon exclusive after show, the member chat, after we did the podcast. You shared the Cycle of Ambiguity, the problem, followed by the Cycle of Agency, the solution. And nobody really got to hear it on our public feed because it was in the member after show. It was like an Easter egg. And now we're here to lay out that as the foundation and tell us about how your thinking has continued to evolve in this space. So kick us off with the Cycle of Ambiguity. Let's get everybody up to speed.
Perfect. Yeah, I felt really bad about last time. I had to leave right away. This time I'm here. Sad, right? That of all the times now, it's the quieter one. But hey, for those of you who are here, you get me all to yourselves.
That's right.
That was really, really fun. The shame spirals with James Zakoa, that was also really, really great. Really fun stuff. It's always a party here.
So tell us about the Cycles of Ambiguity.
So Cycle of Ambiguity is that stuckness that many of us kind of relate to. It's where our prefrontal cortex doesn't really process information as quickly or efficiently as other people, maybe too quickly, more much faster than everyone else. So that means we have a ton of info coming into this really powerful brain of ours. And there's just so much data flying around there that it's just a lot. And the brain starts feeling pretty overwhelmed in a way by all of this information. In a way, it's specifically because our brain is so fast and that we take in so much data and that we notice all these details that other people don't. Other people could just walk in to a coffee they're just going to get their coffee and that's it. We go in, you meet your friend, you saw someone has a really cute dog and you wanted to say hi. Where'd you get those shoes? Oh my God, let me try a new flavor today. Right? It's a totally it's a different experience. It's two people walk into a coffee shop, But if one of us is ADHD, it's a totally different experience than the other, like more neurotypical fellow. So in a way, what's happening in our brain is that so much data is coming in and it's happening so fast. We're not like fully forming everything. We're not necessarily always like sourcing everything we need to properly because we're not staying on stuff for as long as we need, or there's just too much of it. There's just too much data. So it's either too little data or too much data. But the result is still this like ambiguity, this like lack of clarity, this confusion. I'm not really sure. And again, we're awesome at coping with this. That's for sure. Right. But I'm just pointing out what's happening in the brain behind that noggin. Right. Well, here you get direct access into it. But is this like kind of ambiguity fueled overwhelm? It's like, whoa, there's just a lot happening here. So we end up just sticking to things that are familiar to us. Right. Because like that's just calm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the avoidance part.
Yeah, that's the first part. And then that, like, when we have so much data or too little data happening and we're not like really clear about something, it makes us feel uncomfortable, which is why many of us end up going straight to the evil stepsister of anxiety, which is avoidance, right? So it goes ambiguity, right? Our brain kind of has either too much or too little data, right? Then anxiety, because it feels uncomfortable. I'm not talking about clinical anxiety. I think in one of our first podcasts, we discerned the difference between clinical anxiety, which is where it's like an exaggerated response. It's something that's not necessarily proportionate to what you're nervous about. Here we have every reason to be nervous about whatever we're nervous about. I mean, we earn the right to be nervous.
Yeah, all the time.
And then that leads straight to avoidance.
Well, and this is kind of, I don't know. I mean, I look at these, the sort of cycles we're talking about today, and I feel like I very much know the feeling of just living in the cycle of ambiguity all the time and stopping, just like not moving forward at all. And so if, I mean, but part of it, if you want to comment on what it's like to live in that space full time, I'm here for it. But the other piece is, when we talk about pattern interrupts, like breaking cycles, that feels like what you're talking about with the cycle of agency.
1,000%. Yeah. It's funny because like neurotypicals will sometimes overhear this kind of stuff. Like, let's say when I work with parents, I do a lot of parent coaching. So obviously the ADHD apple doesn't fall far from the ADHD tree. So one of them in the room is going to also have it. But for the neurotypical partner, they'll be like, wait, I also do that. And I'll be like, yeah. But we do it way more often, way more frequently. And like, this is our life. We're in a constant like state of cycle of ambiguity.
Right. Because I think about like the coffee shop and I'm thinking like I will go into the coffee shop knowing what I want to order. I'll still notice the cute dog and I still might notice like some of the things on the wall or whatever, but it's not the same amount of noise that you were just, explaining. It is heightened for sure.
Yeah. I might walk out with the dog.
Right. Yeah. I might walk out with a new coffee cup for sure because
ADHD
it's cute and
leads
shiny,
to larceny
and overspending, but that's a whole other show. Yeah.
So when we're talking about breaking the pattern, leading to the cycle of agency, how do we feel more agency in our skin?
That's such a good question. I love that you use the word interrupt, right? That it's like you have to interrupt the cycle. As my own thinking like matured, I realized that this is, if you break down habit, like the habit loop, I think it's from James Clear, Atomic Habits, right? So it's, I'm saying it in my own words just because I remember the 3 R's better than his random 3 stuff, but it goes reminder, reaction or response, and reward. Right. So let's say you're one of those nail biters. You see your nails. One of them's a little bit funny. Right. That's the reminder. Response is you start to bite your nail. Right. And reward is another neat again. Right. It's any bad habit. Right. Any good habit. Right. You see a indigent person and you feel bad for them and you drop $1 in the thing like that. Right. And then you feel awesome. Hey, look, I'm a kind person. Right. Like any habit. Right. It's that habit loop. So in a way, if you look at it through that lens, the cycle of ambiguity is I have this reminder, which is I feel confused or overwhelmed, right? That's the cue, the reminder. The response is I feel uncomfortable. I don't like that feeling of discomfort. So I avoid the discomfort by going to my phone, right? Or the news or, I don't know, organizing my closet. or making another drink. And then that's the reward, is now I don't feel anxious anymore. I don't feel the anxiety of that overwhelm, of that ambiguity. So it's that habit loop, right? So it's a reminder, response, reward. So what the cycle of agency does is we replace the reaction with something else that gives you a more adaptive reward rather than the maladaptive reward of avoidance. Here, let me walk you through, right? So you have the same cue, the same reminder, which is the ambiguity, right? Like, let's pick something. I think when we spoke about this, I used my taxes as an example. Coming up, like, October 15th just passed. Well, for all of those people who filed an extension. So with taxes, right? So I'm feeling uncomfortable and overwhelmed by it. Like, oh God, did I do it? I don't even know where I keep all the forms. How am I going to, out of it, right? It's overwhelmed instantly, right? So in a way, the reaction or response usually is straight to the fridge, right? You're just like, you're back in the fridge, you're looking in there. I wonder what we got in here. It hasn't changed since the last time you checked 12 minutes ago, but you never know, right? And so instead, though, if I could change my reaction, right, that instead of me responding to that ambiguity with the calm of avoidance, right, which is maladaptive and just leaves me feeling, well, much fatter and gross about myself, right, by being in the fridge all the time. Instead, we go through the cycle of agency. The cycle of agency starts with acceptance, which is accepting that I feel overwhelmed. Look at that. Like, how crazy is that, right? The idea of that, like, accepting ourselves, it's an awareness of our situation. Like, our brain just is our brain. It's not something we chose. This is not like a moral failure. We just are. Like to quote Lady Gaga, baby, I was born this way. Like, this is it. This is how God made me.
I feel like there's a difference between accepting the reality of the situation that is my brain and falling into that sort of self-pity.
Oh, I love that question. I was hoping you were going to ask, and I love that you jumped on that. Yes, it's a huge, huge, huge thing. My wife always gets a little bit uncomfortable when I talk about this because she's like, you're just telling people to be victims.
Yeah.
No, I disagree, right? It's not, and I'll tell you why. Because it's, the way I understand it is, if we zoom out, see the bigger picture, what's happening here is it's the first step of personal responsibility is accepting who I am and what I'm up against. That's the first stage. If I'm going to constantly be in denial that, no, next time I'm going to do my taxes on time. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You're going to do it on time next year. Yeah, right. That's just lying to yourself. So the personal responsibility starts with being honest with ourselves. When you're honest with yourself, then you can build a foundation for anything good. Nothing good in this world can be built on falsehood, besides for politics, right? But everything else, right? Anything good in this world, right, is built on a foundation of truth. And the truth is that this is our brain. This is us. Now, the question is, what do I do with that truth, right? That's the question. And so the idea is that once I'm able to accept myself, that, like, this is me, this is like how I was made and the challenges I'm going to have to deal with. The question is now, what do I want to do about it? You're right. You do have the free will reigns supreme. Pete, if you want, you could just roll over and be like, well, it's my ADHD. Yeah, you could. Free country.
Well, I feel like we need to say those words out loud because that's a space that we're all very familiar with, right? Just like figuring out acceptance can also lead to that next like stopping point, that next roadblock, that next speed bump to say, okay, well, I guess I'm accepting that I have ADHD and now I'm sad and now I stepped in poo. Right.
That's a resignation and a surrender. That's not acceptance. Acceptance is that this is me and I'm going to move forward with it. Surrender and resignation is this is me and I just turn over and, look for the remote.
Well, neither of those words start with an A. And so we know that there's opportunity ahead.
That's true. That is true. My brain's trying to find something with an A now. But yeah, I like that question, which is, it is about what you do with it, right? And acceptance could be obviously misused, but the real question is, what do you do with it? Like, what are you going to do about it? And so the next step of the cycle of agency is acuity with an A, right? Which is like, it's really supposed to be clarity, but clarity doesn't start with an A.
No.
So acuity is the next best thing. And acuity is where you zoom out to see the bigger picture so that you can zoom back in. I love this. I call it zoom out to zoom in. When you zoom out and be like, okay, so my brain takes in way too much, right? And I'm super impulsive. So every time I walk by the store, it costs me $40 just to look at the store, right? So now I know, hey, don't go to the store unless I know it's like a surgical strike. I know I'm coming in for toilet paper and shampoo. That's it. All right. And a Snickers, right? But like, that's it. I have to keep that focus. If I just wander into that store, yeah, I'm going to walk out $40 for it and on stupid stuff. And I don't even know why I bought that. Like, who even needed that? I don't know.
So zooming out is the act of saying, I need to go to the store for needs.
More than that, is zooming out is recognizing that if I walk in that store without being focused, without like a certain driven direction, I'm going to totally wander through with a full cart. You know, like those people who just like kind of meandering down the aisle. Right? Like that, I could get sucked into that so fast. It's kind of nice, actually. You're like in this world of possibilities and you get to forget that it costs money. You just
it's the TikTok of food. Are you kidding?
It's so good. It's so fun.
Absolutely.
It's really nice.
I think it's important because I happen to I read ahead, and I happen to know that the next A is agency. And I feel like we have to talk about these two in partnership with one another, because agency is the other area for me where I can go south because I feel like I am so out of control often that when I'm in the store and I'm going for shampoo and toilet paper, one way for me to feel like I'm in control is to spend the extra $40.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's why the other side, right, which is the zoom in, right? We zoomed out to realize, hey, I'm just impulsive and I'm probably going to end up spending $40 that I don't want to spend, right? Allows me to zoom in and be like, no, I'm just going to walk in. I'm only going to get that thing. I'm going straight to that aisle. I'm going to check which one it says on the little top sign thingy. I'm going to get that. I'm going to go straight to the checkout, and that's it. If I did, then I'll allow myself to buy the stupid impulse buys on the counter, and that's fair. I earned it. And then you get back your control, Pete, but you got it in an adaptive way where you feel agency. You feel good about yourself. That's the gift of zooming out to zoom in, is it gives you agency. Agency is the gift you get when you work through acceptance to acuity to create that clarity for yourself. You get the gift of agency. It's that like puffed chest feeling of, I got this. I freaking owned that. I'm going to buy 2 chocolate bars. I owned it.
Well, I'm also thinking on the kind of opposite end of, I'm not going to buy 2 chocolate bars, but I'm going to have the exact amount of cash with me to bring into, I'm going to go back to the coffee shop because I know exactly what I'm going to order and I have the cash and that's what I'm giving. And to me, that's proving to myself that I do have the acceptance that I'm going to be tempted to buy something. And coming to terms with, this is what helps me to make sure that I stay focused and be proud that I can walk out and still get the coffee that I want. And it's still a treat, right?
I like that. I like that a lot, Nikki. Push back with a little bit of like a foreshadowing here. I like it. I just know that in myself that would never happen. First of all, I just can't plan ahead well enough to like then have the cash for amount that I needed.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a whole nother level of planning for it.
And
yeah.
Deeper than that, which hopefully we'll touch on when we get to the third cycle, the cycle of accountability, is I feel like it infantilizes us.
What do you mean by that?
A lot of times growing up as a kid with ADHD means that you were considered uncontrollable. And adults wasted a lot of effort trying to control you or trying to like impose some sort of structure on you or force some sort of authority. And it makes sense that as we grow up, we kind of reject that a little bit. And if it doesn't come out in that aggressive way, but more like passively, we're seeking it. We're definitely seeking some sort of like what Pete hinted to. Like, I want to feel in control. I want control of my life back.
I haven't had it for so long. I feel like all of the actions to help me with my ADHD were punitive in some way, shape, or form. And this is a way for me to exert my authority.
Which is why we buy all the random that we see that we want. Because we're like, Like, fine, me, I'm important. I can get whatever I want.
I can make this
I'm a
decision.
big boy again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a real boy.
Yeah. Well, and that's
like
the
Pinocchio.
visualization. That's the visualization too. And I've said this, I'm sure on the show that part of me is still like, I'm carrying him on my back. Right. And he's making those decisions when I am in a compromised state. Last A is action in the cycle of agency.
Is sometimes you got to get yourself to do the damn thing. So that's why it's its own thing. I realize that like for the neurotypicals, it like kind of once you feel agency, you just do it. Like you're like, oh yeah, I got this, and then you do it. But for us, yeah, but maybe I should just check the news. Nah, let me just look at my email first. Just do it. Nike style, just do it. So that then reinforces the cycle because now I can really accept myself from a place of truth and competence. That like, hey, wait a minute. Look, when I calm myself down, right, I end up getting the reward of that relief of anxiety, right? And I got my stuff done, right? Like, how cool is that? So this was an adaptive way of responding to that original cue, the original reminder of that overwhelm as I created that calm. And you know what that does, Nikki? That puts you back in control. You now can control your body again. You are now becoming like you're the one who has real control. You're taking that back. You're the authority for yourself. Can you think of any greater gift?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, I feel like I end up taking advantage of myself, right? If I'm operating as that kid hanging off my back, then he's just getting the glee of having an adult wallet attached to him, right? He can make those decisions.
And then the adult's the one who pays for it with more than just cash, like guilt, shame, resentment, anger at yourself, self-criticism. Like, damn it,
things that kid will never know.
Yeah, he's fine.
Right.
He's fine. He's laughing his way to the bank. Yeah, he already
exactly.
had whatever he wanted. He's good.
All right. So tell us that's the setup. That's what we talked about in our long time ago in the member post-show chat. In a previous episode. Now let's talk about the cycle of accountability. The third.
This one's a
cycle.
tough one. This one's really tough. And it's really coming down to address this exact point that we brought up about control and really feeding the deeper underlying needs that we have as humans who grew up with executive functioning challenges. At its, like, I know the name accountability, like, is a trigger word for people like us. Like, oh no, am I in trouble? And I want to clarify what I mean by accountability. My definition of accountability is where something matters to you. That's it. And so when something matters to you, then it's meaningful, right? There's or something that's meaningful to you will matter to you. Meaning it's about making it mine. So that's the question. Like, how do I regain control? How do I heal that inner child so that he doesn't have to keep robbing my wallet and my self-esteem?
It's a much nicer way of looking at it than, are you accountable for what you did? Versus, I mean, that's the harsh.
Yeah, because that's
critic.
not it. That's right. That's responsibility, right? You should have felt a certain way by this action, right? And that's not. We spend so much time trying to shed our shoulds
and the shame and
all
of that comes with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like this. So the accountability is something that matters to you. It's something that's meaningful to you.
Yeah, 1,000%. So this cycle, right? Those of you who want to take notes because this one's new, starts with alignment. Alignment is, well, what matters to you? Like, what do you want? And I always say, like, a lot of life comes down to the Spice Girls. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Like, that's really what it's about, is tell me what you really want. What do you want out of your life? What do you want out of this class? What do you want out of this family get together? What do you want out of this dinner with your family? What do you want out of this date with your girlfriend? What do you want out of this time hanging out with your sisters? What do you want?
So I ran across this sidebar. May I approach the bench? There's a book that I just picked up called Everybody Needs a Manifesto, which is sort of a guided tour on how we as humans often don't spend enough time thinking about exactly that question, and taking the time to stop and consider and reflect and write down what you believe in can help you in so many different areas of your life. And I had not yet thought about how it applies here.
Really? Because speaking of great books, I think in your book you talk about something like that, which is like trying to find what's meaningful for you, like some sort of weekly like check-in with yourself.
Well, for sure. But
Reflections. We have a whole bunch of
reflections. Yeah,
reflections and things like that. Yeah.
that's really true. But the idea of attaching of me sitting down and attaching that responsibility part to my identity, I guess, not just what I'm doing and what's important to me in the moment, but who I am. That's where
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
1,000%. And that's what my book, Clearheaded, is about, is to get you clear so that you come into life clear-headed. You know exactly what you want from not just the coffee shop, not just from the store, but from your life. What do you want from your relationships? What do you want from your like religion, from your politics? What do you want from life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard to answer, right? I think that that's a really difficult, because I've asked that many times in coaching calls. You know, what is it that you want? What do you want in the situation? And it is a hard question to answer.
What would you answer, Nikki?
See, I would have to ask, like, what are you asking? What do I want in what?
What do you want
Like,
in your life? Like, what do you want
my
in your
life? Oh boy. See, it's so hard because it's so big. Meaning, you know, I think, you know, connection, family, community, work that matters. But I also want balance. Like I was telling somebody, just before we got on, that I have never been the one to work a lot. Like I like having time to myself. I like having time with my family and friends. And so, it's important to have a job where I don't have to work, you know, 80 hours a week. And yeah, so there's a lot to that. Yeah, there's a lot.
And that's what I mean. That's what makes it so hard, because we're not sitting here talking about, here is a menu of all of the things that I have to do. Let me figure out how they align with who I am right now. We're starting in the opposite direction, which is the thing I don't think people do that often, which is, who am I? How do I want to be seen in the world? And then do the thing, or focus our attention on the things that align with that. That's inverse to what I think most people do.
Yeah. It reminds me of a line from one of the songs in The Greatest Showman, which is, we can, a million dreams, right? We can design the world we live in, or something like that. Like, live in a world we design, right? And I was like thinking to myself, like, wow, like, thank God I live in a world that I've designed. I'm surrounded by family and friends, by people I love, doing what I love. I'm just so lucky. I actually am living in a world that I designed. And I think it's such a beautiful blessing that I hope everyone listening could, and even if you don't listen, I'll begrudgingly give you that too, right? You should have it, you know, but like, I really hope that anyone listening to this, like, this will give you that same like blessing of being able to feel like you're living in a world that you've designed.
So that's the first A for this particular cycle of accountability. The next one is accountability.
Yeah. So this one, right now that we're seeing accountability a little bit more gently and a little bit more like truthfully, it's not as like nasty, right? So now accountability just means, well, now that this matters to me, like Nikki, you were saying, like, you wanted your life to have meaning, right, and community, and to like almost in a way like that balance. So now that becomes your value, right? And in a way it is, and that's what's guiding the way that you are living now, right? Is that became the North Star for you. And so now everything else revolves around that. So that's what accountability means. It means that now my life revolves around my values instead of my values having to kind of adapt to my life.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting because we use accountability, you know, that word a lot. And I always found it and find it to be a partnership with people, because one of the things that we do in our membership is we have an accountability anchor session room where you can go in and body double with people. And what I love about it is that it gives you that community, but it also it lets you know you're not alone. Like, I can do hard stuff with other people too. And I know they're doing hard stuff, and we can do this together. And it's not that I am, you know, answering to these folks or they're answering to me. We're doing it together. And so there's just a partnership to that. I feel that it can be really meaningful.
That is, and it's insightful, because if you think about it, all of those people joining, right, are aligning themselves with the value, which is I want to get stuff done, and I'm willing to put myself through this kind of like almost in a way like manually generated shame thing where I'm like trying to use the fact that you're here, not shame. It's more of like I don't know what's a good word for it. It's like I guess accountability, right? That I'm using you and you're using me so that we could align with our goals. Our goals are that we get our stuff done. And it started with that acceptance of ourselves that, hey, I know it's harder for me to do it on my own.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So number 3 in the list, attention.
Yeah. So that was the accountability. So we went from alignment, right, which is identifying what's meaningful to you and what matters to you, to accountability, which is then making that matter to you, right? And kind of making your life revolve around that. In my book, I walk you through how to do that through with something I call CSI, right? Which is creating schedule intentionality, where your schedule revolves around your values. It's a little bit of a shift, but once you do it, it's really cool because then your whole world kind of now flows in the direction that you wanted it to be going, which is really, really nice. The third step there then becomes attention. And this is fascinating because attention, gets a bad rap and pay attention, right? And like it's like something that we're always being asked to give. But if we zoom out, there's actually something super deep and beautiful about attention. And I like bringing this out with like this kind of like imaginary case. What I'm going to be trying to argue for is that your attention is you. And I prove that, right, with this like imaginary question, which is imagine the person you love the most in this planet, right? Think of that person, have it in your head, right? Now, imagine that person's being wheeled into the hospital and the doctors are telling you, we can only save their body or their brain. We can only do one. They'll still be alive and healthy, right? But we can only save one of them. Either their body's going to function or their brain. Which one? You got to tell us now.
Yeah. Well,
I think most of us would choose, right?
Yeah.
The brain.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, right? We would choose the brain. I think all of us would. Now imagine right. So they write down your thing. Okay, yeah, sure. We have a slight problem. If we let the body go, right? That means this person won't be able to hear you, see you, touch you. They'll know you're here. Their brain is working. They know you're there. They know you, right? And they'll know when you're there, but they can't touch you. They can't talk to you. You still want to go through with this.
This is a horrible thought experiment.
It's amazing. Stick with it.
Okay. Yes, I still want to go
And how
through
you
it.
doing, right? The answer doesn't change. Of course, right? Of course we do that. And this is the mind-blowing concept that hopefully will deepen your relationship with that person you're imagining. Ready? That means that even if a person can't tell you I love you, even if they can't hold you or hug you or kiss you, you value their presence. That's what you love about this person. You just want their presence. That's it. And if you flip it around, Pete, that's all they want from you.
Yeah.
Not, I'm here, honey. What? Yeah, I'll be there. What? Oh, so cool. Yeah. Okay. Right? That's not what they want. They just want your presence. They don't need it. They don't even need the hug. They don't need the kiss. They don't need the money, the gift. They just want your presence. Your attention is you. That is who you are. That's all that matters. And the rest of you, the body and the money, the success, all that doesn't really matter as much as who you are, your essence, just your just the existence of your brain, that you're aware, that you're present. That's all that matters, Pete. Was it worth it?
Totally. We're also so deeply conditioned that attention is currency. And the reason I fight it a little bit is because of that. That's cognitive dissonance, that you've just made attention something so loving and natural when I speak royally here, we are used to seeing attention as something that is paid and earned and that is transactional.
Yeah, advertisers did that to us.
Yeah. And the fact that we are constantly told that we are in deficit of it.
It's true, right? Yeah.
Right?
Attention deficit disorder, right?
Yeah.
We are
yeah.
It's like a grand scolding.
Well, this is where it gets crazier, Pete. Now that I've redefined attention, I've also redefined ADHD. ADHD is not an attention deficit disorder. It's a self-deficit disorder.
Okay. Hold on.
It's deep.
I know.
What are we doing right now?
Isn't this crazy?
I
Yeah.
feel like
It
the
is.
introduction needs to be like deep thoughts.
Yeah, right. Well, first of all, so redefining ADHD as a self-deficit disorder. I feel like we haven't quite earned that yet because there is a fourth A.
Yeah.
You dropped
right.
us on the third, like, deeply heartfelt A, and we haven't talked about attachment. Do we need attachment to talk about my self-deficit disorder?
No, once you realize that ADHD is a self-deficit disorder, then that's where attachment comes in. Because the way that a person is seen is through the other, right? As the Bible says, right? It isn't good for man to be alone. Well, women are like, yeah, duh, these guys can't take care of themselves, right? It's obviously talking about the human, right? It's not good for a human to be alone. We are social creatures. We are built to be supported by the other. We start out as this helpless, tiny little creature, right? Being held in someone's arms, right? And like looking for their attention, looking for their love, looking for their value that they give us. And usually if you're cute, they do give it, right? Like just you giggled, you did anything, and they went, oh my God, right? People want baby farts. People go crazy. Right? I don't know. It doesn't happen now. I don't know. Privilege. But like this idea of being valued as a little tiny human should, right, in a perfect world, be happening throughout our life. That those people in our lives continue to value us and allow us to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel present. If you grow up without that, it can be pretty hard to feel present, right? If your whole life was a series of not good enoughs, right, then it's very hard to feel present. It makes sense that you'll go straight for the cue, that reminder of, I don't know what to do here, or I feel uncomfortable, right? And straight to let me check out and avoid being present with me because I don't know how to do that. It's not something I'm comfortable with yet. And that's where we lead to attachment. Attachment is where when you are aligned with what matters to you and you're holding yourself accountable to those people and projects that are meaningful to you and you're paying attention to the things that matter, you become more of you. And then you can be loved more. You can be seen more. The person in your life, right? That imagined the person from our little exercise there, that person now has more of you and you have more of them because you are more present to see them, to be with them. And that's the last A, is attachment. That when you could connect with yourself, you could then scaffold that social relationship with another human being and be seen by that person, which then enhances your alignment, right? And that's the cycle. It brings you right back to what matters to you, which is people. People matter.
I love this. And I want to, I feel like I'm going to need some more discussion on self-deficit disorder. But before I do that, what happens when all of this runs headlong into the neurochemical parts of ADHD, right? The parts where, where we started talking about this at the beginning, where we do find we get stuck, right? We are affected with shame and the things that, just happen because of the complexity that is ADHD exists.
Yeah. Can I make the question a little bit more blunt?
Please.
But wasn't I born this way? Right. This is what does this have to do with attachment and with how I was treated as a baby? I was just born with a messed up brain. Like, well, what are you talking about? What is all this weird psychobabble? It's a great question. It is a really good question. And the answer is that it's a spectrum, right? Obviously, when you come into this world with one of our unique brains, right? So then you, in a way, are experiencing it differently than everyone else. But let's just walk it through, right? So you come into the world, right? And you're seeing so much and you're stimulated by so much and you need so much, you're touching things and you're breaking things. How do the people around you respond? Let's imagine two different worlds, right? So I don't know who wants to be the healthy home and which one of you wants to be the unhealthy one.
Oh, well, I feel like I should be the healthy home in this case.
Oh,
I never get to be the healthy home, so
at least here you can. Right?
I call dibs.
In Pete's house, right? That little boy or that little child, right, is treated with acceptance, humor, almost like laughing, right? This joy and wonder at this child, right? And every time you break something, there's this laugh. Oh, I guess we gotta lock that one up, right? And this almost this deep pride in you, just for you being you, right? Versus, let's say a kid, sorry, Nikki, growing up in Nikki's house, right? Where it's like, damn it, You broke that, right? I can't believe it. This piece of garbage kid, right? You're always breaking everything. Just think about it, folks.
Yeah.
Right? How do you think that kid's going to, like, the difference between these two children growing up in Pete's house versus growing up in Nikki's?
Yeah. The messages. Just.
Yeah. We internalize and we internalize the sort of rudiments of those of those feelings, of that anger, that frustration, because eventually we've internalized that the reason they're mad is because they're scared of something. They're scared of being able to replace this thing. They're scared of what it means in their lives, that their kid breaks things, whatever. And we're just inheriting that fear, uncertainty, and
or that things matter more than you, and then it makes sense that it's going to be harder for you to be present with a you that wasn't loved, with a you that felt like it was always a piece of crap and never good enough and always ruining everything for everyone.
I also can see this in even adult relationships, like in marriages and partnerships, and right? Because I can see where you have an ADHD partner, you have a non-ADHD partner, and the criticism or the RSD that somebody might feel from their partner, if they're not coming from a compassionate, understanding, acceptance type of position, and they're always blaming you, or how do you do this again? I can't trust you, like that. I can just see it continuing as a child all the way into adulthood and retirement years.
That's a person who may have a harder time being present in that relationship, being present with themselves. And the deficit of self, right? The self-deficit disorder robs you of everything else that's good in your life, right? Because then now your relationships start to falter, work. I don't know, like the real meaningful things in life get affected by that. And even if, Pete, could we go back to the question, right? Isn't it just like a brain chemistry thing where do you have the executive functioning or not? Well, if you think about it, right, there's executive functioning really comes down to self-regulation, right? Being able to regulate yourself. And let's just get deeper in that, right? We zoomed out, let's zoom all the way in, right? What is self-regulation, right? So that would be, it's working with your working memory, right? Which is being able to track what's happening. The fact that we're having conversation now, that we're in a podcast and we're being recorded, right? That's working memory, right? Anyone listening, right? That you're sitting in something, that's working memory. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't know where you are. So that's working memory. There's the idea of like impulse control or inhibitory or control, being able to stop yourself from doing something really dumb, being able to kind of direct yourself towards goal-oriented behavior. Those kind of things, right? And all will determine emotional regulation. Because how do you calm yourself down when you're getting all super stressed out? It's using memory to be like, oh crap, I remember what happened the last time I lost it. That wasn't so great.
And not only that, I remember that I have skills that I have practiced before that can help me regulate
breathing,
this. Right,
water in your face, whatever.
As soon as you said that, I am like the Pavlov's dog.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you said, no, but as soon as you said, what do you do when you get stressed out? My immediate reaction was to breathe. I mean, it was. Yeah. I took a breath.
Moment for me as a dad was when my son, Jack, he's 3 years old, he was doing, like magnetiles, right? So it's like magnetiles thing. And it felt, he couldn't figure out, like it kept falling. He was trying to make a certain tower, like connected to the couch or something. And he kept like it was falling, and he was trying to get that piece just right. And my wife's like, you could do this, Jack. You could do this. And all of a sudden he went, and then he did it. I was so proud.
Oh, I bet. I'm proud of him. Yeah.
To the moon. Are you
awesome.
kidding?
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. Self-deficit disorder.
You heard it here. The ADHD redefined.
I like it. I'm sitting with it. It is worthy of reflection. Tell me about the book.
The book guides you through this process of recognizing what robs us of ourselves and how to take it back, right? Which is really, this is why alignment is so important. And the cycle of accountability is so meaningful. It's because it gives you back yourself. It lets you start asking those uncomfortable questions. What do I want? There's a me here. What does that me want? That me is valuable. And I like this point that I put in the book, which is that you were born with a right to matter. You were born, therefore you matter. Done. Right. And what you want matters. Your alignment, like your desires, your values, all that matters. You were born, therefore you matter. So it's almost like the Nietzsche line, right? I think, therefore therefore I am. Right. So here's, you were born, therefore you matter. Every human has this like tremendous, like incalculable worth. You matter. Just as you matter. And that's what I love about the attachment part, is that my book kind of helps you tap into you, that what do you really want from your life? And now when you go back to the cycles of clarity, right, to the cycle of ambiguity and the cycle of agency, these are not just like cool hacks to like get yourself to get your taxes done. These are tools and steps to help you reclaim yourself.
The book is Clearheaded, the ADHD Guide for Turning Overwhelm into Clarity, Calm, and Control. When is it available?
We're hoping in December. We'll see. With ADHD, I keep like re-editing it, and my editor's like, just stop editing.
That's going to be a killer.
You know, right?
Yeah.
Because I always think of a better thing, and I should have said this differently. But hopefully, we'll try to get it out. Inhibitory control, right? I have to remember that. Stop. Just breathe it out. It'll be good enough. It's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough. Hopefully my book will be good enough.
Oh, it's going to be great.
I think it's going to be better than that. Yes. I know that the cover is provocative. I adore it. I adore that it exists the way it exists, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Clearheaded. Thank you for hanging out with us today, Nachi. Appreciate this.
My absolute pleasure. Always so much fun here. Where's Melissa?
She's hanging out in the chat. Yep. She's hanging out. She's just hanging out, running the show from the background, as she always does. Thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to this show. We sure appreciate your time and attention. Make sure you I'm going to put links to the book pre-site. You've got the book funnel page up where people can sign up to get the first chapter. First chapter must be done.
The introduction walks you through the overview, the cycles of clarity. You basically get a rundown of this whole process in the intro.
Yeah, and you may be able to get it in its not yet final form, because it'll probably be edited again. So consider this
like as we were
backstage
talking, like,
pass.
I should put something about like redefining the self in the intro, but then like I feel like you ruined it. You know, like
calls it like I sees it, baby. This is great, and so definitely the link will be in the show notes. Go sign up to be on that mailing list, but get notified when the book comes out in December, we hope, and check out all of Dr. Felt's work. Thank you so much for downloading the show. If you have something to contribute to the conversation, we're heading over to the Show Talk channel in the Discord server. You can join us right there by becoming a supporting member at the deluxe level or better, patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer and Dr. Nachi Felt, I'm Pete Wright. We'll see you right back here next week on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.